I would like to start by giving you an update of some of the recent things we've done for you, the open source community, to enable you to run your projects just faster and better with the tools we build. So a few words about Johnson Labs and why we do this. Johnson Labs is a fairly unique company. We've never taken any outside funding. We've always been profitable, and a lot of what we do is we have a number of customers, and we use that to fund work on a lot of open source and community work, like this summit, for example, right? That has no sponsors, right? And it is free for everyone, as well as several of the projects we do. And in general, Johnson Labs, you can see we're a carbon neutral company, but very importantly, we're big investors in open source, in open science, and open data and data philanthropy. And one word I want to say is I want to say thank you to our customers, our paying customers. Basically, the Johnson Labs model is based on several hundred companies that are enabling a community of several 100,000 developers and data scientists who can move faster, build more, get more done. So I do want to thank the academic medical center, the pharmaceutical companies, the software companies who are supporting us and enabling this to happen. And of course, you have our commitment to keep you the state of the art and keep you successful, as we have been doing for the past few years. And what we have been doing, and our goal every year would be to help the AI industry, the NLP industry, move faster. And the best way to do that is really just giving you free stuff, giving you free software that is state of the art, that enables you to get more done. And let's see where that stands. So our biggest project has been and still is the Spark NLP open source library. And in June, we released the Spark NLP 5. We have been releasing software every 2 weeks for almost 6 years now. And the community has been going strong. We've crossed 70 million downloads for the library. But what I do want to talk about is really where Spark NLP fits now in the world of large language models, RAG architectures, and how people are using it now, which is really the reason for this bump since we released it in June. What Spark NLP 5 focused on is supporting RAG LLM applications, so basically semantic search applications. And in those applications, what you do, you have a large language model that is baked by a vector database, and that does basically an embedding search, right? So when you run a search for documents or for answers, you, instead of using kind of the classic keyword-based search techniques, you look for the documents with the most semantically similar content, which you measure by looking at the mathematically closest embeddings. This means that the big job that enables a large scale of documents to be searched this way efficiently is calculating those embeddings. So if you're looking to load 100,000 pages, 1 million pages to a semantic database, what you will find is that a lot of the time, a lot of the compute effort is really just calculating those embeddings and loading them in. And that's what we wanted to help improve. With Spark NLP 5, we have kind of we've rewritten, we've optimized, we've scaled the process that does this. And right now, really, Spark NLP is the only implementation that does not use Hugging Face under the hood, like many of the kind of libraries and scripts and the orchestration mechanisms. We've actually written our own implementation that supports, as you can see, all the current state-of-the-art embeddings and quite a few others. And right now, one big thing that provides you is really just speed. And this is not just speed at scale. Even on a single machine, even if you just on Google Colab, you should expect to be about 3 times faster than Hugging Face for calculating embeddings. And if you are using a quantized model, you should expect to be about 7 times faster than Hugging Face. And this is kind of on a single machine, whether you're using a CPU or a GPU. And of course, you'll be faster if you have more cores, more memory, and so on. On top of that, some of the real barriers that people are experiencing right now with RAG LLM applications are just scaling, being able to scale beyond 50,000 documents, 100,000 documents, which is really not a lot. I mean, if you're in the legal space, you may well want to come and say, look, can I just please index and be able to search all of the precedents, right? All of the legal precedents within a specific area. We started this when we looked at biomedical research, and we said, look, we just want to index all of the biomedical research has been available and published ever, right? So all of PubMed and medRxiv and bioRxiv and clinical trials, and this just does not work with a lot of the tools that are out there. With Spark NLP, not only can you very easily scale embeddings without out-of-memory issues, without just getting a bigger and bigger machine, you can also do it without any code changes. Here you can see some examples on Databricks, and as you see, we started with one machine, but then really we just scaled it to 2 nodes, 4 nodes, 8 nodes, 60 nodes, and as you can see the numbers, you get really near linear scaling. And with the main examples we've run, which was around PubMed, academic medical papers, we were able to reduce calculating embeddings, loading them into a vector database, really from 43 hours to just 3 minutes. And what this means is, first of all, that yes, you can look at much bigger data sets that would be available to your large language model now. It also means that this is much cheaper, because the way most of us do compute right now is we do it on the cloud, and we pay by the minute or we pay by the hour. So not only can you do this now commodity hardware, when you do it 2 or 3 orders of magnitude faster, the compute cost is going to be that much cheaper for you. And what we're seeing, especially a lot of the bigger implementations and bigger companies who are starting to put this to use. The other thing to say about Spark NLP, we now have more than 20,000 models that we support, that we have curated, that are intended for this purpose. And most importantly, you get state-of-the-art accuracy, and that's really been Johnson Lab's commitment always. We will keep you the state-of-the-art. So one thing about calculating embedding, it's great that you have all the latest transformers and embeddings and models, but do you have the best ones? Right? So do you have the E5 models? Do you have the BGE models? Do you have the GTE models? And the answer is absolutely yes. They are there. They have been optimized, so you don't need to mess with things like like Onyx or Optimum or DeepSpeed or other libraries. We've done all of that work. We've implemented it. It's one line of code to load the model, make it available to you within your own environment, within your own pipeline. And even like since June, the models we have added basically have been following the leaderboards. Right now, the open source models that are provided do better on the majority of the kind of public benchmarks, even compared to OpenAI, compared to the commercial embeddings that are out there. So really what you need to know is that open source, completely free, at any scale you want, privately on your environment, this is now available and at your service. The second large project that Johnson Labs builds and provides to the AI community is the NLP Lab, which is our no-code tool. And the NLP Lab has really exploded in 2023. One benchmark that we are very happy to announce that we have just very recently celebrated is crossing 2 million cloud usage hours. So basically, these are CPU hours in which servers that are serving teams that are training, tuning models, annotating data have been up. There are more than 1,200 live servers right now. Each server serves a whole team. Some teams are small, some teams can be very big. But you can see basically over 1,000 organizations that have adopted the tool, which is free, which is more than 5 times growth compared to 2022. So first of all, I want to say thank you to the people who who trusted us and put this tool to work and put it to good use. And definitely you've seen how we've been releasing also every 2 weeks, with usually between 40 and 60 kind of features and corrections every 2 weeks that come to the tool. And you have a commitment that we will keep doing that, and we have a sizable full team that continues building it. If you're not familiar with the NLP Lab started its life as an annotation tool. where you were able to go in, you were able to set up a project, set up a team. From the get-go, really what we wanted to have a tool that is enterprise-grade, that is scalable to a team. And we really thought that this should be a free resource to the community. So when we started, we looked at everything out there. We looked at Label Studio, and we looked at Prodigy, and we looked at DuckDog, and we looked at all the other tools that are there. And there were some open source and free alternative, but all of them had a business model that says, oh, if you want to manage teams, if you want encryption, if you want single sign-on, if you want analytics, if you want AI-assisted annotation, you have to pay for the enterprise version. And we just decided to make the enterprise version free. And this is still what you have here. So you can do this at scale. You can manage projects and teams. You can run this behind your firewall on your own infrastructure, everything encrypted. You have full versioning. You have full audit trails. And most importantly, you have AI-assisted annotation. Because while this used to be an annotation tool, what's happening now is that most of the data annotation work has been automated away. And the way you start a project today is you don't load 5,000 documents and you have an expert go and annotate and do the question answering, classification, summarization. You either start with an existing model and say, okay, start with this model and I'm just going to review and correct it. Or you start with rules, you do programmatic labeling, or nowadays you start with prompts. Right? And you do some prompt engineering and you come and say, look, I'm just going to start with a prompt, play with a few prompts, and then you can load the document and just see what it does. Sometimes what it does is good enough. Sometimes what it does is not quite good enough. So you still need to go through the manual effort. But this is not annotation, this is not correction. Right? Where you look, you improve the models. And once you've improved it, once you've corrected it, you want to feed this back, so you want to be able to train basically new custom models, and now this should be model now you own, right? So that's your intellectual property running on your infrastructure. Nobody knows about it, and they do better on your specific kind of annotation and specification. And this is why we now call the tool the NLP Lab, because really it's a tool that enables domain experts. Within Johnson Labs, it's mostly medical doctors and lawyers who now really train, tune, publish models on their own. And we are proud to say we have some models where, as the saying goes, like no data scientist wants harmed, right, in the training and production of this specific model. And these are still state-of-the-art models in terms of accuracy. So our main promise to you with the NLP Lab is we will keep you the state-of-the-art. So one thing that's unique about the tool is that you can combine prompt engineering, programmatic labeling, and model tuning, transfer learning. So when you have your own project, you can say, oh, I want to take this entity is from this pre-trained model. I want to use this classification, I want to do with prompt engineering, this relation extraction, I want to do with something else, and you can combine them together and then use that to train your own model, whether you're actually training model or you're just doing human-in-the-loop validation. Once you've trained model, there is a models hub, rules hub, and prompts hub within the tool, so you can share, reuse prompts, rules, models within your team. And here at the summit on Thursday, you'll hear about some of the new generative AI features. So you also have now the ability to do synthetic data generation and do both entity recognition and text classification with prompting. So if you're interested to see that in action, as I said, no coding needed for the whole end-to-end process. Join us here for the third day.